Hi honeybees, my name is Raven, this is Eden, and welcome back to our channel. Subscribe to become part of the hive. Be sure to like and ring the notification bell. Thanks honeybees! Enjoy the video. I'm in a new space right now because this is going to be kind of a more casual conversational type video as opposed to what I usually do where I'm adding tons of clips and I'm being analytical and I'm doing full reviews. This isn't really going to be like that. I'm not really going to talk about tons of stuff that happened during the Academy Awards or anything like that. This is just a winners recap, and obviously I'm going to be sharing some of my opinions about the winners, but I'm not going to go into full review mode or anything. This is just a calm, casual, hopefully laid back video. Though I might be a little bit mad because I do disagree with some of the winners, but we'll get into that. So we're really just gonna recap all the winners here and talk about it. Cool, fun, casual. Here we go. 2024 Oscars. I'm gonna start with the categories I didn't have much of an opinion about, just to recap them. I'm gonna go over every single category and the winner of each category, as well as obviously what I wanted to win and what actually won. So let's just go ahead and start with writing, original screenplay. The nominees for that were Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. I believe this was the only category that May, December got a nomination for, which is a shame. I do believe that Charles Melton deserved a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Really, Natalie Portman or Julianne Moore could have gotten nominations as well for either leading actress or supporting actress, whichever one they wanted to go with, but that didn't happen. This was the only one. The winner of this one was Anatomy of a Fall, which was a wonderful film. I did see pretty much all of the movies that were nominated here, most of them anyway. I wanted The Holdovers to win. Let me just say right off the bat, I was hoping for a Holdovers sweep, and I did not get that. The Holdovers was one of my favorite movies that came out last year. I believe it was in my top 3, if not my top 5. All the other movies nominated here, most of them were at least in the top 15, but Holdovers I thought was a wonderful film. Super low-key compared to some of the other films on this list, but I really saw some magic in it. And it was nominated for a lot of things. It only won one category, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, writing, Best Original Screenplay went to Anatomy of a Fall. Well deserved, I must say. There were some scenes there that showed some really amazing writing, specifically the argument scene between Sandra Hüller's character and her husband. It was a really intense watch when I did see it in theaters. That scene specifically really got to me. Even though that wasn't my choice, I do think it deserved that win. So next up, writing, adapted screenplay. The nominees for that one were American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. These are all good choices for adapted screenplay. All of these screenplays I thought were really well written. The winner was American Fiction. Honestly, that did take me by surprise though. Out of all these films, American Fiction I personally liked the least. And that's not to say that it's a bad movie. I just enjoyed the other films a little bit more, but the writing of American Fiction was well done. It was a unique story, a unique spin on that kind of story that it was telling. So I do appreciate the writing of that one. I did think it was very well written, just like I said with all the other ones. I personally predicted Oppenheimer to win this one just because there was so much well-written dialogue in Oppenheimer. Not only the dialogue, but the different actions that were written into Oppenheimer. Everything was very well planned, it seemed. There was a vision that was very well executed, and a lot of that I believe is because of the screenplay, and of course the acting and directing on top of that. But I thought it started with a great screenplay and it built on top of it. And American Fiction, the best thing about it probably is the screenplay. So it makes sense that it won, and I'm glad it won because I think that's the only thing that American Fiction did win. It was nominated for a few other things, but adapted screenplay is the only thing that it won. Next up, we're going to go to visual effects. The nominees for visual effects were The Creator, Godzilla Minus One, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and Napoleon. The winner of visual effects was Godzilla Minus One. Now, I did not see that film, but I heard a lot of great things about it, and from what was shown in the clips at the Academy Awards, it definitely looks like a lot of work and passion went into that. It seems like there was, like I said, a lot of passion, a lot of vision behind this project as well. You could say that for most of them, but this one for sure, they just seemed so happy, and I am happy for them that they won. So Godzilla Minus One, winner of visual effects. Next up, we have sound. This is different than soundtrack. Obviously, this is different than the music in the film. Sound is just everything we hear in the movie. The wind, like the sound of shoes hitting the floor, all those little things that we might not think about when it comes to filmmaking. Those sounds don't happen organically as the movie is being filmed. They are added in later. And that's something that's very detailed in filmmaking that requires a lot of care. And I believe it's really noticeable when care is not put into sound of a film, like you just have periods of silence that aren't purposeful, or they try to use organic sound, or they just add something in. Sound requires a lot of care. So the nominees for sound were The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. My prediction for this category was The Zone of Interest, and The Zone of Interest did win. The Zone of Interest did not have a lot of dialogue in it. Obviously, there are people talking here and there, but a lot of it is silence that's not really silent. There's screaming in the background, there's walking around, there's ominous wind noises, ominous background music that just created this uneasy feeling throughout the whole film without showing anything violent or scary, really. Just very, very uneasy. That's the best word that I could use for it. And the sound really helped that a lot. It really pushed that forward, that we're supposed to kind of feel a little bit off about this. And so I do believe this is a very well-deserved win for sound. Next, we have live action short film. There are 3 categories for short film. First one, live action. The nominees were The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. And The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is the winner. That is a short film by Wes Anderson. It is available on Netflix if you want to give it a watch. I have to believe that's a well-deserved win despite not seeing it, just because Wes Anderson is such an artist when it comes to his films that I'm sure The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar was a work of art. I'm not sure what the story was, but just knowing Wes Anderson, this makes sense to me. He was not there to accept the award, which is sad because this would be Wes Anderson's first Oscar win. Next, animated short film. The categories were Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, and that one did win. War is Over was the winner of the short film. Obviously, John and Yoko were not there. John is dead. Yoko was not there. But their son, Sean Lennon, was there with the 2 other filmmakers to accept that reward. So that was really interesting to see him. They did cut him off as he was speaking, which I thought was strange because that's Sean Lennon. That's the son of John and Yoko. The Academy this year, I know I said I wasn't going to talk too much about what happened during the awards, but they really were strict with the cutoffs of the speeches. The music started during a lot of people's acceptance speeches, and I just would have loved to hear everybody get to say their whole piece, especially Sean Lennon during this part. Like, this was probably a very important film to him, his parents' music together creating this film, and they just cut him off so unceremoniously. But that one did win. Next, we'll go into documentary short film. The nominees were The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai Nai and Waipao. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that one correctly, but the winner of documentary short subject was The Last Repair Shop. Next, we're going to go with production design. The nominees for production design were Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, production design is the sets, the locations, the set pieces, the colors, so basically what we see on set. It's not cinematography, that's different, that is how it's shot. This is what is being shot, essentially. All of these, again, really great choices. Barbie, I loved the look of the Barbie world and the care that was put into creating this world and each of the Barbie dream houses and the beach and all other set pieces as she's traveling from Barbie world to the real world, all those different intricate little sets that they went through. That was all amazing. Killers of the Flower Moon in general, that whole little western town that they were in. Oppenheimer, same thing, that little town that they were in for a lot of it, but also the different university sets. All of that was amazing and in the time period. And then Poor Things, listen, I have a lot to say about Poor Things. This video is not about my opinion of Poor Things. I will say I did not like that movie at all. Not because of the production design, not because of the costumes or the cinematography. All of that stuff was amazing. The performances, great. Fundamentally, the story, I would go so far as to say that I hated. And not for a lot of the reasons that have been stated elsewhere, like, oh, it's a baby brain in an adult woman. That's so disgusting. That's the point. That's the point. I get that that's the point. That this woman who's really a child, but also she's a woman, is being taken advantage by all these other men. That's fine. That's the story. I'm no stranger to disturbing concepts. Sexuality in film, don't care. Love it. Love a good sex scene. It's fine. Whether it has a purpose or not, sex is a form of art that can be used on screen. That's not the problem I have. I'm only saying that because I'm only saying that to justify my opinion, because a lot of people who dislike this film, the criticisms to the people that dislike it are, oh, you're a prude. Oh, you just didn't get it. I understood. I can firmly say that I understood what this film was going for. I just did not like the portrayal of our main character, Bella. I said I wasn't going to get into it. I'm getting into it. The main portrayal of our character, Bella, finding herself, figuring out what it is to be a person fitting into society through sex, through fucking a bunch of dudes. And not all by her own choice either. The whole thing, the relationship with her and Mark Ruffalo, fine, cool, find yourself, be horny, whatever, I don't care. Becoming a prostitute, fucking men that she stated she did not want to be with, who did not care for her, and she had to do that to make money, was just a different way that she was trapped. And the framing of sex as the bravest thing a woman can do, the most taboo thing a woman can do, and that's how she became a woman. She became a thinking person, was through fucking. And a little bit of things here and there of, oh, attending lectures and reading books, but it was mostly focused on what she did with her body. And that's what I disagree with it story-wise. A woman is much more than her body and what she chooses to do with it. And I just did not personally like the portrayal of that in the film. Everything else, fantastic. But fundamentally, I hated Poor Things. Back to production design, Poor Things did win the Oscar for production design. And that's fine, because the sets were great. So that's fine. I'm gonna go next into original song. The nominees for Best Original Song were The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, the Flamin' Hot biopic. I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away from American Symphony. Wazahaze, A Song for My People, Killers of the Flower Moon. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced that one. And What Was I Made For from Barbie. And What Was I Made For did win Best Original Song. I pretty much knew it was going to, because I believe it also won the Golden Globe for Best Original Song. And usually that's a good indicator of what's going to win the Oscar. That's not true for all of the categories that I have here, but I figured it would win. I personally wanted I'm Just Ken to win. That was my favorite performance at the Academy Awards, was Ryan Gosling singing I'm Just Ken. And that's just such a fun, catchy tune that I would listen to over and over again. So out of all of these, I thought that one was the most fun and the most easy to listen to, but it did not win. What Was I Made For won the Academy Award, which was written by Billie Eilish and Phineas. We're gonna go into original score. So this is all of the music in each of these films. The nominees for Best Original Score were American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. This is the only nominee for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but it is a John Williams score, so I believe it did deserve the nomination. I think Killers of the Flower Moon would have been my best prediction for that one, because I did like the music that they used. I'm wondering why Barbie wasn't nominated for this one. I did like all of the songs in Barbie, but the winner of Best Original Score was Oppenheimer. Next, I'm going to go to makeup and hairstyling. The nominees for makeup and hairstyling were Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. And the winner for makeup and hairstyling was Poor Things. which makes sense. Just for Willem Dafoe's look alone, what they did to him to make him a sort of like Frankenstein doctor scientist kind of guy was great. Just the hair extensions on Emma Stone and everything else, that's fine, it makes sense. Next, we're gonna go to International Feature Film. The nominees for International Feature Film were Lo Capitano, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, The Teacher's Lounge, and The Zone of Interest. And the winner of that category was The Zone of Interest, which seems obvious to me because The Zone of Interest was also nominated for Best Picture. So in terms of nominees for International Feature Film, only one of those was also nominated for Best Picture. I feel like it's obvious that that one would be the winner. The Zone of Interest was a great film. Like I said, very uneasy. It succeeded in its message. It succeeded in making us feel, at least for me personally, making me feel how it was supposed to make me feel. And that is the hallmark of a great movie, in my opinion. Next, we're gonna go to film editing. The nominees for film editing were Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And the winner of this category was Oppenheimer, which I don't really have a strong opinion on any one of these that I thought should win, except for the fact that I would have loved a holdover sweep and didn't get it. But in terms of editing, they all had good editing, good pacing, but Oppenheimer was the winner of film editing. Next, we're gonna go to a documentary feature. So best documentary, the nominees for documentary feature were Bobby Wine, The People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Mariupol. And the winner of documentary feature was 20 Days in Mariupol. This is a documentary about the Ukraine and the impact of the invasion of Russia on the Ukraine. Very relevant to everything that is currently happening in Palestine and the invasion of Israel on Palestine. So it was great that this documentary won because of its continued relevancy with other things happening in the world. And that was definitely acknowledged in the acceptance speech, which I really appreciated because this is something that is still going on, not only in the Ukraine, but in other places too, in Palestine, right? And it's been going on for a while, and we are awarding this film for showing light on that, but what are we doing about the fact that it is still happening, you know? But that was the winner, 20 Days in Mariupol. Next, we're going to get to costume design. The nominees for Best Costume Design were Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. This is the only one where I predicted Poor Things would win, and it did. Poor Things won Best Costume Design. They did have wonderful costumes. I will say that again, wonderful film to look at. For me, it was just fundamentally a story issue, but beautiful film other than that. So that, I believe, was a deserved win, although I did love the costumes in Barbie. A lot of care was put into those. That was also a very fun movie to watch just aesthetically. Killers of the Flower Moon with their period costumes were amazing. Napoleon, same thing. Oppenheimer, same thing. So these are all well-deserved nominations, and Poor Things is the winner. Next, we're gonna go to cinematography. So this is the way a film is shot. The nominees for cinematography were El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. My prediction for this one was Killers of the Flower Moon. I did really love the cinematography of it. I loved the variety of shots, the dolly shots, the wide shots, close-ups. They used a very good mix of everything to keep it interesting because as a lot of people have stated, it is a very long film, so is Oppenheimer, but the cinematography and the performances and everything else that was on screen kept it interesting. And I really thought Killers of the Flower Moon did a great job with their cinematography. I mean, obviously they were nominated, but they did not win. Oppenheimer won Best Cinematography. Really, we got a pretty big Oppenheimer sweep. Oppenheimer won a lot of the categories it was nominated for, so Best Cinematography went to Oppenheimer. Next, we're going to animated feature film. The nominees for Best Animated Feature Film were The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I would have predicted Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse winning if it wasn't for the cliffhanger ending. That was my biggest issue with it, is that it did not feel like its own complete film, whereas the first Spider-Verse movie did. I talked all about that in my review for the film, so you can check that out if you want to hear my full opinions on that. But it was a very pleasing film to watch. It was a very cool film up until that point. But that's the reason why that wasn't my prediction. And it didn't win. The Boy and the Heron won Best Animated Feature Film, which makes sense. That was actually my prediction because you can't go wrong with Hayao Miyazaki. And The Boy and the Heron is a really interesting story. It's fun to watch, and it's definitely deserving of this award. Hayao Miyazaki was not there to accept the award. Next, we're gonna go with directing. The nominees for Best Director were Justine Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things, Jonathan Glazer, The Zone of Interest. Now, I love that a woman was nominated. A woman has not won Best Director in quite some time. I believe that category has only been won by a woman twice, maybe once, no more than twice. So I knew that she wasn't going to win, though she would have deserved that win because Anatomy of a Fall was just so well directed. But she deserved the nomination for sure. The winner of Best Director was Christopher Nolan in Oppenheimer. And I believe this was Christopher Nolan's first Oscar win. So congrats to him. You know, Oppenheimer was obviously also extremely well directed. It was just an extremely well put together movie. I could say the same thing about Killers of the Flower Moon. I wish Killers of the Flower Moon won more categories, but we'll get to that later. I wish it won any categories, really. Spoiler alert, it didn't win anything. Again, we'll get to that in a moment. All right, we're gonna go right into actress in a supporting role. So the nominees for Best Supporting Actress were Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, America Ferrera, Barbie, Jodie Foster, Nyad, and Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers. I predicted Divine Joy Randolph. I really wanted her to win. She deserved it, I felt like, over everybody else nominated here. Emily Blunt, I felt like, wasn't really there much in Oppenheimer, and that's not anything against her performance. I just feel like she wasn't used enough to warrant that nomination, in my opinion. Similar with America Ferrera. America Ferrera had the one powerful speech scene, but other than that, I'm not sure if her performance really warranted that nomination as well. But Divine Joy Randolph did win Best Actress in a Supporting Role, and I am so happy for her. She also won the Golden Globe. She had won some other awards for this performance as well, but definitely well deserved. I cannot wait to see what she does in future films. She was phenomenal. She is a huge part of what made that film as great as it was. Her chemistry with the other actors, the dedication to her performance. I loved the accent she put on in the film. She was dramatic and serious, but she was also funny, along with Paul Giamatti. They both flowed with this serious side of acting as well as this humorous side of acting in these roles, and she was just amazing, so I'm really happy that she won. Next, we're going to go to actor in a supporting role. The nominees for Best Supporting Actor were Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction, Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. Now, again, as much as I did not like Poor Things, Mark Ruffalo killed it in that role. It's a role that I feel like is very different for him, at least compared to what he's been doing in recent years. And he was great as this weird chauvinistic asshole. Ryan Gosling, I thought, really stole the show in Barbie, to be honest with you. He was probably my favorite part of the whole film, so I did kind of want him to win. I knew he wasn't going to, but that was my prediction. The winner of actor in a supporting role was Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, and he was great. That movie was great. I personally didn't think he stood out that much against the other actors, but maybe everyone else was just so good that everyone deserved a nomination. So that's who won Best Supporting Actor. Now we're going to go to Best Actor in a Leading Role. So, Best Actor. The nominees for Best Actor were Bradley Cooper, Maestro, Coleman Domingo, Rustin, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction. I was holding out for Paul Giamatti. I thought he killed it. I've said it a million times already. The Holdovers was fantastic. Paul Giamatti himself gave a wonderful performance. I was really hoping he could pull out the win here. He did win at the Golden Globes, so I thought, okay, maybe he's got a really good shot at winning the Oscar, but he did not win. Cillian Murphy won Best Actor. And honestly, deserved. If it wasn't Paul, I would have loved for it to be Cillian, and it was Cillian Murphy. Wonderful actor. I believe this was his first Oscar win. I don't know if he's been nominated before, but this is his first win, and I'm happy for him. Well deserved, definitely. Next, actress in a leading role. Best Actress. The nominees for Best Actress were Annette Bening, Naiad; Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon; Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall; Carey Mulligan, Maestro; and Emma Stone, Poor Things. My prediction, Lily Gladstone all the way. I really 100% thought that Lily Gladstone was going to win this award. She had won other acting awards for this film, so I thought definitely she's going to win Oscar for Best Actress. I believe everybody thought that she was going to win that, because when she didn't win, there was shock on people's faces. Emma Stone ended up winning Best Actress for Poor Things, and I feel like even her, like, you could see it on her face that she was surprised that she won. Lily, I believed it was her time to shine. Nothing against Emma Stone. She's a great actress. She's wonderful in everything that she's in. I just really thought that this was Lily's time to shine. This is recognition that Lily Gladstone deserved, but she is a wonderful actress. She's definitely proved that by getting this nomination, being in that film. So she will definitely get other roles in the future, and I don't believe this is the last that we're going to see of her at the Academy Awards. But Emma Stone did win Best Actress. All right, last one. We're at the big one, Best Picture. The nominees for Best Picture were American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. All of these, I saw all of these but Maestro. And these are all great choices. It was a long shot, but I really wanted The Holdovers to win just because, in my opinion, The Holdovers was the best movie out of all of these movies nominated, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, the Academy disagrees. The winner of Best Picture was Oppenheimer, and the funniest part of the Academy Awards was the announcement that Oppenheimer won. Al Pacino, I'm sure anyone who didn't see the Academy Awards may have at least seen this clip by now of Al Pacino announcing the winner in a very unceremonious way. He just kind of opened it and said, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." So yeah, it's Oppenheimer, and everyone was confused. But Oppenheimer did win, and you know what? Deserved. Great film. I would have loved, if not The Holdovers, for Killers of the Flower Moon to win Best Picture. It did not win any other category, and it was such a good film. It's a shame that it really didn't get that recognition beyond being nominated. I really felt like if it wasn't The Holdovers, which I knew it wasn't going to be, then it should definitely be Killers. It should have been Killers to me. But I'm not mad about Oppenheimer. Like I said, these are all great nominations, except in my opinion for Poor Things. Poor Things won enough already. I would have genuinely been upset if it did win Best Picture, to be honest with you, because I don't think it was the Best Picture. I don't think it was better than Oppenheimer or Killers or The Holdovers or Anatomy of a Fall or Zone of Interest. Past Lives I thought was fine. It was just okay. I don't know if it deserved a nomination for Best Picture, but it was a fine movie. And American Fiction, same thing, it was fine. But these are really some hard hitters on here, and I would have loved recognition for Killers of the Flower Moon. That's just it. If not this category, then a different category, and it didn't get anything. But you know what? It was a critique. It was definitely a critique of American society in a way, and it makes sense why an award show like this wouldn't want to pick that. There are politics when it comes to films, for sure, and sometimes those politics show themselves in this way. But Oppenheimer ended up kind of sweeping. It won a lot of the categories, most of the categories that it was nominated for. So, you know what? Congrats to Oppenheimer. As many critiques as I have, things that I wish would have won more, Oppenheimer is a very deserving film. When you're pitting a bunch of hard-hitting movies like this against each other, it is hard to choose what wins what, and Oppenheimer just killed it, which is very significant because Oppenheimer is a biopic. It's an over 3-hour long biopic about a scientist that maybe not a lot of people knew about before this film came out. That's definitely significant right there. There's something to say about that. That's incredible that this film did the numbers that it did, made the money that it made, got all these viewers, people watching it multiple times. I watched it twice. I only knew who Oppenheimer was before this film came out because of because of Epic Rap Battles of History on YouTube. I would not have known about it if not for ERB, right? This also would have been the first I've heard of Oppenheimer. So that's incredible that this story is coming to light after all of this time and becoming such a big thing, and became such a big thing through this film, and got these wonderful performances, great cinematography, production, everything that it won for, you could argue is completely well deserved. So that's definitely some history that was made right there. So those are all the winners of the 2024 Academy Awards. One thing that I do want to say about the Academy Awards itself is that I do hope we get a different host next year. I won't get too much into this, but Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know why they keep bringing him back. Maybe he's just willing to say whatever is written for him. I don't think, usually hosts of award shows don't write their own jokes. They might write some, but there's writers there because it's important, it's big, right? So they can't just rely on one person to write it, the person that is speaking. And maybe he's just so moldable, he'll say whatever. But the jokes, whoever's writing for him, whatever the things he's willing to say, whether he wrote them or not, he just wasn't funny. It didn't seem like he cared about the movies. Most of his jokes were detrimental to the movies that he was talking about, to the people that made them. And I feel like the Oscars is a celebration of the art form that is film, that is cinema. And it would be great to have a host that shares in that passion along with everybody there. That's why we're here. We love movies. We love this art form. We want to celebrate it. We want to share a passion with it. And when your host is complaining about the length of the movie, or complaining about who's acting in it, complaining about this, and those are supposed to be jokes, nobody's laughing. And I don't think anyone in the audience really liked him as host either. I did not hear a lot of laughter. The most laughter I heard was from when John Mulaney was presenting a category, and he didn't say anything detrimental to any film. He talked about film in a passionate, funny way. Same thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. When they presented a category, they talked about the films they were in as Batman villains and pointed out Michael Keaton as Batman and made a joke about him that wasn't detrimental, that showed their passion for the work that they've done. And that's something that I think people want to share in. And I feel like that's something the host should share in as well. I'm sick of the same old tired jokes of, oh, Killers of the Flower Moon is so long, haha, and that's the whole joke. Yeah, it's long, but if you care about film, you're able to recognize that it's a wonderful movie, and it doesn't matter that it was that long. It was necessary to be that long to tell the story that was being told. So let's knock it off with the boring, lazy, I hate film type of jokes. Why are we doing that at the Oscars, right? Like I said before, it's a celebration. I would love a host in the future that celebrates film, that loves film, and makes it obvious that they do. Not to say Jimmy Kimmel doesn't, but based off whatever is being written for him, whatever he is saying, it doesn't feel like he is. He's making fun of these artists, these films, in a way that doesn't celebrate them, like in a roast. Like, why are we roasting the films in such a lazy way? If you're gonna roast, don't be lazy about it, you know? But also, there's different styles of comedy, you know what I mean? There's different styles other than roasting, other of being deprecating. And that's all I wanted to say about that. So share your thoughts below. What did you think about the winners? Anything that you would have loved to see get more recognition? Anything you agree with, disagree with, all that good stuff? Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thanks for watching, honeybees. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye. Meow.